Okay, and I want to do another report, and this was basically based off of a thing I read about Cleveland Browns draft bust. And since we're talking about the draft now, it's 2011. April is almost here. We just began March. I thought I would talk about the past drafts of the Browns, and of course, me, I'm not gonna. I'm in my 20s. I don't really know about what happened to the Browns in the 70s and 60s. I don't really know. I don't know any of those drafts. Basically, I became a Browns fan in 1999. So I want to make that clear. I don't know all the Browns history. Of course, I know Jim Brown. I know Bernie Kosar, Brian Say. I try to watch all their stuff and really kind of become a better Browns fan and know the Browns history. And I learned from some of the older guys that I've talked to that know Browns history better, and they fill me on things. So I know the drive and fumble and all that kind of stuff. All right, so that's out the way. So basically, my thing is for the Browns since 1999. That's what I really know. Browns since 1999, I know pretty much every single thing about. I was young. That's when my mind officially became tapped. Browns. Because remember, we didn't have a team before '99. I think the '95 season was like our last Browns year. Correct me if I'm wrong. It might have been '94, but it was at some point between one of those 2 years. In between that, we didn't have a football team. So 1999, I was a Packers fan before. Brett Favre, all that. And somehow in 1999, for some reason, I just became a Browns fan. Like, I'm living in Cleveland, from Cleveland, born and raised. And it's like when I heard of Browns, Cleveland Browns football team is bad. I don't know, for some reason, it was just like, the Packers, get out the way. I'm a Browns fan now. It has been ever since. How it happened, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, why did I become a Browns fan? The Packers just won the Super Bowl. I would just stay with the Packers. The Browns, we have none, but I still love my team. I love Cleveland, and even when I feel down on the Browns sometimes, I just watch Joe Hayden highlights. I'm like, yeah, one day we are going to win it all. But all right, let's talk about draft bust. So I was reading an article on Browns draft bust. I think it was Bleacher Report or something like that, and Tim Couch was like one of our number one draft busts. Now, people are going to probably not like this when I say this, but Tim Couch was not the bust you think he was. Ryan Leaf, bust. William Green, yes, he was definitely a bust. Gerard Warren, a bust. Courtney Brown, he's another one. Yes, he didn't play great, but injuries just destroyed that guy. He had some great moments in Cleveland. He had some really good moments, but yeah, I guess overall he was a bust. But Tim Couch, this is the one that kind of, I don't really consider him a bust, like a lot of people want to say. Like, it's not that he didn't have any talent. It was that, look what we have. Think about this. From that team, besides Phil Dawson, the field goal kicker, he has nothing to do with the offense or defense. He's a special teams guy. Besides Phil Dawson, how many of those guys from those Browns teams, think of the wide receivers we used to have, Kevin Johnson and Quincy Morgan and who was our running back? We used to have like Jamel White and some of those other running. I can't even remember them all, but we had so many running backs and the offensive line that we had. And just think about all those guys that we had, all those receivers that we had. Think about all the offensive linemen you can think of from that team. How many of them are actually still with the Browns? None of them. None of those guys are with the Browns anymore. None of them. They were all kicked away years ago. Think about it. It's not that we were good. We were a good team at any point. We kicked those guys off the Browns, but we were still pretty bad. Not saying that we aren't that bad now, but and matter of fact, how many of those guys are actually starting for another NFL team? Not many of them. I think Gerard Warren, last time I've heard, he's playing for the Patriots or whatever, but I'm not sure if he's a starter there, or if he's even a Pro Bowler anymore. I doubt it. Courtney Brown, he's nowhere to be found. Quincy Morgan, where is he? Kevin Johnson, he used to be a fan. He was a fan favorite. I used to like Kevin Johnson a lot, but where is he? Last thing I saw, he was playing for the Ravens, and then I haven't heard of him since. A lot of those guys are those offensive linemen. Now, I'm not saying I'm a big offensive line guy where I know every single offensive lineman in the league, but where are those guys now that were blocking for him? Nowhere. He had nobody. Like, he had college players and guys that would usually be cut on any other team playing with him. He had no offensive line. We pretty much ended his career for the most part, because I remember he tried to go back to the Packers and play, and his shoulder was just so jacked up from getting sacked so many times in Cleveland. over and over and over and over again. It was ridiculous. The guy showed some flashes. Like, he showed some flash of talent or whatever. He was not that bad. Like, a lot of people want to make him seem like he's the biggest bust of all time. He was not that bad. I remember that Hail Mary he threw to Quincy Morgan. I remember some Hail Marys he threw to Kevin Johnson. I mean, he had some moments. I remember a night where he just lit the Steelers up. It's just, we could not keep him healthy in Cleveland. We couldn't keep him healthy, and we couldn't block for him. We had no weapons to go around. I can't even think. We never had an offensive Pro Bowler with him. The only Pro Bowler I remember back then was Jameer Miller. He was a linebacker. That was it. We didn't get another Pro Bowler again until, like, the Braylon Edwards and Cullen Winslow and Derek Anderson show came in Cleveland. That's when we started getting Pro Bowlers again. And now, of course, with Joe Thomas, now we got Pro Bowlers every year. But we had nobody. Yeah, I mean, a quarterback can't succeed if he has no offensive line whatsoever. Tim Couch was not a mobile quarterback. So some people say, oh, maybe we should have drafted Donovan McNabb. Do you really think Donovan McNabb would have been that successful here? It's the same situation. Yes, he's a little bit more mobile, but we had no line, no receivers. We had nothing. To me, I still wonder, how did Tim Couch do some of the things he did with what he had? He had nothing here. Zero. Nada. He had nothing here, and he was still able to win in some games every now and then. You know, yeah, the one season Kelly Holcomb did, you know, play in the playoffs against the Steelers, which we lost that game or whatever. But Tim Couch had a pretty good year that year. He had some pretty good moments, man. He had some good games or whatever. I'm not saying he was going to be Joe Montana or Peyton Manning here. What I am saying, though, was I think he was a decent quarterback that didn't have any talent to go around him. It was kind of like a setup the whole time. Like, there was no way he could succeed here in Cleveland. There was just no way. I don't think Achilles Smith, and he didn't even do much where he went. But I don't think he could have succeeded here in Cleveland. I just don't. I don't think we had the pieces in place. Keep in mind that we were an expansion team. Period. We were an expansion team. That's what we were. We were an expansion team starting off with guys that probably would have been cut if they played for any other team in the NFL. Period. But definitely, I don't want to say that he was like the #1 Cleveland bust. If you want to call him a bust because he didn't end up as Peyton Manning, yeah, sure, all right. But I don't want people to just hate him that much, because I don't feel like we put anything in place for him to succeed. What did he have to succeed? He was set up for failure from the moment he came in Cleveland. That's what I think. I just don't think we ever had the pieces in place. Gerard Warren, I would definitely say he was a bust. That guy he just couldn't play. I don't even know why we drafted him that high. I have no idea, but he just couldn't play. Jeff Fain, I was never a fan of that pick for Jeff Fain, but he was, I guess he was solid. He did have a Pro Bowl year in New Orleans one time. Braylon Edwards, he had that one great season in 2007. I remember, but no, I wouldn't call Braylon Edwards a bust at all. I mean, I just think that things just didn't work out in Cleveland. And he was always a personality type of guy. I think we could all see that. I knew that from the moment we drafted him. When he bought a Bentley the first night he got drafted, I'm like, yeah, he's definitely a personality type of guy that we have to watch out for. I was a big Braylon Edwards fan. But I wish him luck in New York and everything like that. Cullen Winslow, injuries, man. I knew that Cullen Winslow incident was just not going to turn out good. He had that good year in 2007, had some pretty good seasons. Tied Ozzie Newsome for, I think, the number of receptions or whatever in a season or something like that. But Cullen Winslow, I just knew that every offseason, if you would read Browns news, you would always see he was getting some kind of surgery, shoulder surgery, knee surgery. I'm like, we got to get rid of this guy somehow and trade him somewhere. I just knew he was not going to last that long in the NFL. And, we treated him in Tampa. I didn't really get to watch him in Tampa. I don't know if he's doing anything there, but I'm not going to call Cullen Winslow a bust. He had a pretty good season, but he was just a solid player. He was solid when he was here, but injury prone. And you just knew that at one moment that his knee or his shoulder was going to give out at one moment. I mean, I just want to definitely talk a minute, if you speak on it or whatever, on the draft bust situation. And if you guys want to make more videos like this, just drop a comment, let me know, and it's no problem. Alright, this is Jameezy, Cleveland Browns Report. Go Browns, baby. Go Browns.